less than 2 seconds to hit 100 kilometers per hour, over 20,000 revolutions per minute in a motor that makes no sound. Tesla didn't just unveil a new motor. They're rewriting the rulebook of the electric vehicle industry, a breakthrough from carbon fiber and boundary-pushing speed. Tesla's latest motor isn't a minor upgrade. It's a full-on revolution in design. At the core is a carbon-wrapped rotor, a material that is ultralight, highly durable, and capable of withstanding extreme forces at very high speeds. In traditional electric motors, the metal core tends to expand and warp under high-speed operation and constant heat. But with Tesla's carbon wrap, the motor core stays perfectly stable, even under intense centrifugal force and thermal stress. As a result, the motor breaks past 20,000 RPM, a number even elite supercar brands never dared to target. This not only boosts vehicle speed, but also reduces wear and dramatically extends motor lifespan. Faster and more efficient than ever. The numbers aren't just impressive, they're real. Vehicles equipped with this new motor can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 2 seconds. That's faster than nearly every gasoline-powered supercar on the planet. But beyond speed, the real innovation lies in how little energy it consumes to maintain peak performance. This system operates with extremely high efficiency. It converts nearly all electrical energy into movement, minimizes heat loss, and eliminates the need for bulky cooling systems. A cost advantage and mass production. Tesla's real advantage doesn't just lie in engineering, but in scaling that engineering for mass production. The new motor uses fewer rare earth materials, avoids complex mechanical assemblies, and can be produced faster and cheaper than traditional EV motors. Tesla's factories are optimized for this efficiency, from gigacasting to robotics to vertically integrated supply chains. Everything is monitored and adjusted in real time using advanced software and sensor data. While other automakers still rely on third-party suppliers for key components, Tesla controls most of its inputs, processes, and systems internally. As a result, Tesla can not only make a better motor, but also sell it at a more competitive price. While rivals struggle, Tesla moves into the next era. While legacy automakers like Ford and GM are still navigating their transition to electric vehicles, and while startups like Lucid and Rivian struggle to scale production, Tesla is preparing to bring a new technology into mass production. Tesla isn't adapting an old model. They built everything from the ground up for the electric era. Traditional brands often retrofit gasoline vehicle frames into EVs. That adds weight, reduces efficiency, and complicates production. In contrast, Tesla's cars, batteries, motors, and software are designed as a unified whole, from blueprint to showroom. Tesla is more than a car company. It's a global ecosystem. Each gigafactory isn't just a factory, it's a machine that builds machines. From high-pressure casting and non-stop robotic production to real-world data feedback from millions of miles driven, Tesla constantly improves its own manufacturing model. Complementing this is the 4680 battery cell, lighter, cheaper, higher in energy density, and perfectly compatible with the new motor. Their self-driving system, trained on data from real drivers around the world, doesn't depend on static maps. It learns and adapts to every road and situation. The future is already on the road. These breakthroughs don't just make a better car. They represent a new model of operation, one that's intelligent, efficient, and globally scalable. Tesla is expanding into new markets like India, the Middle East, and South America. While others manage massive recalls manually, Tesla solves issues with a single update. With a motor that is stronger, lighter, smarter, more affordable, and built for scale, Tesla is setting the new global standard for what the future of automotive technology should be.
Today, all cargo leaving China and heading for the U.S. will now carry a 30% tariff, which is a steep drop from that 145% tariffs that were in place for the past 6 weeks. The temporary lower tariffs are in effect for 90 days as the U.S. and China try to negotiate a new trade deal. The crippling high rates devastated America's ports, which saw a dramatic slowdown in cargo. They're now bracing for a surge from stockpiling.
Over 10,000 shipping containers are stuck at major U.S. ports, causing serious supply chain slowdowns and widespread concerns. Recent tariff reductions offer hope, but what exactly is happening? And how will it affect trade, transportation, and consumers? Tariffs and the decline of trade at ports. Major ports such as Los Angeles and Seattle have experienced a staggering 40 to 50% drop in incoming cargo volume compared to the same period last year. This decline is closely tied to tariffs that were once as high as 145% on Chinese goods, one of the highest in recent history. In May 2025, a 90-day pause on tariff increases lowered these rates to 30% on Chinese imports and 10% on U.S. exports to China. Despite this, ongoing uncertainty surrounding trade policies has caused many exporters to remain cautious. Fewer ships are calling at ports, and shipments continue to face delays. This drop in cargo volume puts enormous strain on port infrastructure and logistics operations, highlighting just how vulnerable global supply chains can be to policy changes. Crisis at ports and the transportation industry. The congestion at ports extends far beyond the docks, deeply impacting the transportation industry inland. Truck drivers nationwide report a dramatic 60% drop in the amount of cargo they can haul. This sharp decline hits their revenue hard, even as operating costs, fuel, maintenance, insurance, remain steady or rise. Small and medium-sized trucking companies face increasing financial pressure, with many edging toward bankruptcy. Delays in contracts and canceled shipments ripple through the supply chain, creating bottlenecks not only at ports but at warehouses and distribution centers across the country. This systemic issue means that what started as a port problem is now a nationwide logistics crisis, threatening the timely delivery of goods consumers rely on. Impact on retailers and consumers. Large retail giants such as Walmart and Target are feeling the brunt of this supply chain disruption. Inventory shortages have become widespread, with many stores struggling to keep shelves stocked. When supply is tight and demand remains steady, prices inevitably rise, pushing consumer costs higher. Small businesses face even steeper challenges. Increased warehousing fees, tariff costs, and shipping expenses squeeze their already thin profit margins. This has forced many small retailers to shrink operations or close altogether, contributing to job losses and economic strain in local communities. Consumers may soon find everyday goods harder to find and more expensive, a situation that affects millions of American families. Security and theft issues. The backlog of container shipments has also created opportunities for criminals. Theft incidents at major ports like Los Angeles and New Jersey have surged by approximately 40%. Containers sitting for extended periods become vulnerable targets for organized crime, and companies are forced to increase spending on security measures. In some cases, businesses have chosen to abandon shipments due to theft risk, adding to financial losses. This layer of insecurity complicates an already strained supply chain, forcing industry players to allocate more resources to protect assets rather than improve efficiency. It's a troubling development that underlines the multifaceted nature of today's logistics challenges. Current situation and future outlook. The U.S.-China tariff pause agreed upon in May 2025 has triggered a surge in container ship bookings, raising hopes for easing congestion. However, this sudden influx risks overloading ports already operating near capacity. Economists warn that unresolved, these supply chain issues could contribute to a deeper economic recession, undermining labor markets and consumer confidence. To avoid this, coordinated efforts are needed, reforming trade policies, investing in port capacity, and improving logistics management. The coming months will be critical for America's economic health.
That's right. The news here being that the Trump administration has told U.S. chip designers to stop selling their software to Chinese groups. Now, that's according to the Financial Times.
The United States is set to announce new restrictions on China's access to its semiconductor technology. While not fully disclosed, some of the measures include curbs on shipments to China of chip-making equipment and AI chips. Min Soo Kyun has this report.
The U.S. strategy, controlling technology to maintain dominance. The Trump administration directed American companies to halt providing EDA software, an essential tool for chip design, to Chinese firms. These companies command over 70% of the global market for chip design software, especially in the field of AI chips. The goal is clear: to slow China's semiconductor development, block access to advanced technologies, and preserve America's leadership position. However, this policy also disrupts global supply chains and reduces revenue for American firms. It creates heightened political and trade tensions, raising concerns among businesses and investors about the long-term sustainability of the global supply network. China's resilience and remarkable progress. Despite the restrictions, China has made significant strides in chip technology in 2025. Notably, Chinese researchers announced breakthroughs in carbon nanotube transistors, improving performance and practical applications. DeepSeek, a Chinese company, developed the AI model DeepSeek-R 10528, boasting impressive cost efficiency and computational power. Although details on GPU counts and costs remain limited, China is investing heavily, with a budget of approximately $48 billion, focusing on open architecture, RISC-V designs, and domestic lithography technologies. This effort aims to reduce reliance on imported technology and build a self-sufficient semiconductor industry. Global economic and financial impacts. The U.S. software supply ban has caused significant supply chain disruptions and impacted revenue for American firms like Cadence and Synopsys, who earn substantial income from the Chinese market.
All of the essential capabilities to advance AI, and they've made enormous progress in the last several years. Whatever policy the administration puts together really should enable us to accelerate the development of AI, enable us to compete on a global stage.
The global financial market reflects these changes through volatile capital movements and wavering investor confidence, particularly in the semiconductor sector, which is highly sensitive to political fluctuations. The risk of technological fragmentation. Two separate ecosystems. The U.S. ban contributes to the emergence of two distinct technology ecosystems, one led by the U.S. with its own chip standards and supply chains, and the other by China, centered around RISC-V architecture and homegrown technology. This division increases research and development costs, reduces international collaboration efficiency, and undercuts the benefits of globalized technology. Such a scenario risks igniting a tech Cold War, complicating geopolitical relations further and forcing companies to face challenges in maintaining global standards and compatibility. China's response and next steps. China has pledged to defend its businesses and warned of possible retaliatory measures, including restricting exports of rare earth materials, strategic resources accounting for over 90% of global supply and critical to the U.S. high-tech industry. Biden's administration is watching closely as Beijing continues to ramp up investments aimed at technological independence, strengthening its domestic chip ecosystem and cutting dependence on foreign tech. Moreover, China is implementing tax incentives and training programs to boost high-quality talent, enhancing production capacity and innovation. A challenging yet opportunistic future. Currently, there is no official update on whether the trade war truce set to expire in August 2025 will be extended or replaced. If no new agreement emerges, the technology war will likely persist, causing continued economic damage and deepening global supply chain disruptions. However, this challenge opens doors for multiple countries to develop independent technologies and diversify chip supply sources.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump attended a campaign event in Pennsylvania Monday night, a roundtable where farmers and manufacturers expressed their concerns about the farming industry. It was here that Trump says farming company John Deere will have to pay strict tariffs if he was reelected.
600 people lose their jobs. Revenue drops by 18%. New machine sales fall by 40%. John Deere moves to Mexico, threatened with 200% tariffs. Costs rise by $500 million. Old machines become a lifeline. What's going on? The shock from an agricultural icon, John Deere, a nearly 200-year-old name that once symbolized the strength of American agriculture, is now retreating in its own homeland. On May 30th, the company quietly closed multiple factories in Iowa, Illinois, and several other states. 600 workers lost their jobs, and sadly, some only found out via email. Just a few days later, in Pennsylvania, amidst applause at a campaign rally, Donald Trump declared that if re-elected, all John Deere products manufactured in Mexico and brought back to the U.S. would be hit with a 200% tariff. A strong warning? Perhaps. But John Deere had already acted. They didn't wait for anyone to signal red. They pulled the plug themselves, right where their production heart once beat. No more guessing, no more rumors. This is the truth. Clear, with numbers, with people. While politics continue to argue, the workers silently left. Struggling farmers, old machines. Take the lead, it's not just the factories closing. Out on the fields, everything is changing as well. New machine prices are soaring, tariffs are piling up, interest rates are sky high. American farmers have no other choice. They are forced to return to machines that are 10 to 15 years old. Old machines suddenly become a lifeline. Sales of new machines dropped more than 40% in just 3 months. A troubling figure. But it doesn't stop there. A basic hydraulic hose, a fundamental component, now takes up to 6 weeks to be available. During the growing season, a 6-day delay can ruin an entire season, let alone 6 weeks. And then that fear spreads. From the fields to the co-op boardrooms, from factories to banks. It's no longer an economic crisis, it's a psychological crisis. The fear is creeping everywhere. Remember 2018? The trade war cost farmers over $27 billion in exports. And now that scenario is coming back. Faster, stronger, deeper. The reaction in the clash between policy and reality. Trump didn't stay silent in response to John Deere's actions. He declared, "Any company that moves jobs overseas deserves to be taxed to the bone." The audience applauded loudly. The crowd cheered with excitement. But inside the factory, the atmosphere was entirely different. No applause, no smiles, just silence, heavy with tension, and empty stares. Because they understood. They were stuck. On one side was the slogan, "Made in America." On the other, costs, tariffs, canceled orders, and a crippled supply chain. John Deere has not betrayed America. They remain committed to investing $20 billion in the U.S. over the next 10 years. But just this year, they've already incurred an additional $500 million in costs due to tariffs. Think about it. How can you invest in the future when you can't even survive the present? Standing at a crossroads. One path is loyalty with losses. The other is cutting back and surviving. What would you choose? The ripple effect spreading across the supply chain. Don't think this is just about John Deere. It's not. The system is shaking. In Minnesota, 3 major dealers canceled their annual sales events. In Nebraska, the co-op cut all financial support for purchasing equipment. Indiana is sounding the alarm. The farm foreclosure rate is skyrocketing at a pace not seen since the Great Depression. The agricultural production chain is not a series of isolated links. It's an interconnected system, from growers to factories to banks. One broken link and the whole system collapses. What's happening now is no longer a few cracks. This is a domino effect in motion, step by step, systematic. And now the question is no longer, how will John Deere manage? The question is, if such a huge corporation has to pull back to survive, then what chance do smaller businesses have to stay afloat? Walmart plans to close about 16 stores in 2025, focusing mainly on small towns in 6 U.S. states. This number is significantly lower than earlier rumors of 40 closures. Could this indicate that American shopping habits are shifting? These closures are concentrated in California, Colorado, Georgia, Maryland, Ohio, and Wisconsin. In these small towns, Walmart stores are not just shopping spots, but essential hubs for food, medicine, and daily necessities. When these stores shut down, local residents must travel further for basic needs. This is especially difficult for those without reliable transportation. Furthermore, small businesses like restaurants, gas stations, and transport services also suffer due to less customer traffic. The already fragile economy of these small communities is further strained by Walmart's withdrawal. People lose convenient shopping and a part of their livelihood. Many assume high tariffs on Chinese imports are the main reason. In reality, the closures result mostly from low business performance and growing competition from e-commerce. Customers increasingly shop online, reducing foot traffic in physical stores. Tariffs don't directly cause closures, but indirectly increase costs, raising prices by 20 to 30%. Higher prices cause customers to reduce spending, impacting store revenues. Also, having too many stores close to each other reduces efficiency. Walmart must close unprofitable stores and focus resources where business is stronger.